The stars over Mars Station were quiet that night. Cargo ship Aurora was making its usual slow run back to Earth, carrying containers of frozen food and spare machine parts. The crew was bored, drinking recycled coffee, and complaining about the temperature in the cargo bay then. Something blocked the view outside. At first, the captain thought it was an asteroid, but the shadow was too big, and it was moving. The stars disappeared behind a wall of black metal, smooth and shining. Under the light of the distant sun, it stretched so far in every direction that it felt like a floating city. "Radar?" the captain asked. The radar officer stared at the screen. "Sir, the radar says it's bigger than New York." Before anyone could react, the comm system crackled to life. A deep voice spoke, slow and formal, in perfect English. "Greetings, humans. The Galactic Empire has decided to offer you membership." The crew froze. No one had ever heard of aliens. No one had even guessed they might appear like this, without warning, without introduction. The captain leaned toward the mic. Thanks," he said, uncertain. "Membership to what exactly?" There was applause. Then the voice replied, "The greatest civilization in the galaxy. We're prepared to grant you the honor of joining us. If you accept our terms?" The crew looked at each other. One of the engineers whispered, "Is this a prank?" Another muttered, "If it's a prank, they've got a really expensive ship." On the screen, a symbol appeared, a golden crest shaped like a star, surrounded by strange alien text. The voice continued, "You will send representatives to meet our diplomats. You will be given the laws of the Empire. You will obey them. In return, you will receive protection and access to our technology." The captain slowly smiled. "Sounds generous," he said. "But why us?" Again, the pause. The alien voice lowered, almost as if speaking to a child. "Because your species has potential. And because it is better for you to serve than to be conquered." The crew burst out laughing. It wasn't nervous laughter. It was genuine, surprised laughter, the kind that made the comm officer nearly drop his headset. The captain wiped his eyes. Sorry. Just, you're saying all this like you're the boss of us. That's cute." Silence. Then the alien voice said, "This is not a joke." One of the younger crew members leaned toward the mic. "Neither was the time we made coffee in zero gravity. But it was still funny." The alien voice stopped responding. Instead, another message came, a set of coordinates. "Come here within 3 days. Bring your leaders. We will discuss your future." The signal cut off. The massive ship moved silently past them, vanishing into the darkness of space. For the next 3 days, the news spread like wildfire. Every news channel, every social media feed, every radio signal carried the same story. We are not alone. Some people panicked. Others celebrated. Memes appeared everywhere. Pictures of aliens wearing human baseball caps. Captions like, "Welcome to the Empire, buddy." Earth's leaders gathered quickly. They chose a small team to meet the alien diplomats. Scientists, military officers, and one man chosen for reasons no one could quite understand, a stand-up comedian named Jordan Hale. The reason, according to the Prime Minister, was if they're going to talk about our future, they should also see our sense of humor. The meeting place was a massive alien station hanging in orbit around a blue gas giant. The human shuttle approached slowly, passing ships of every size and shape. Some looked like flying crystals. Others looked like giant insects. The humans stared at them in awe, until Jordan muttered, "Looks like a giant space petting zoo." The pilot almost choked, trying not to laugh. Inside the station, the human delegation was led to a vast golden hall. Hundreds of alien species stood in balconies above, watching silently. At the far end of the hall sat 3 tall figures in shimmering robes, the Empire's envoys. One of them spoke in that same deep, formal voice. "Welcome, humans.
Ow!
You are here to receive the honor of joining the Galactic Empire."
Ow!
Scientists nodded politely. "We're honored to be here," she said, "but we have many questions." Before she could continue, Jordan raised his hand. "A quick question. Do we get dental as part of this membership?" A ripple of confused murmurs spread through the aliens. The envoy blinked slowly. "Dental. Jordan said, grinning. Healthcare for our teeth. Very important. Otherwise, we might end up biting someone in a meeting. The scientist tried to glare at him, but the corners of her mouth twitched. The military officer beside her covered his face. To hide his grin, the envoy cleared his throat. The Empire provides all necessary care to its members. But there are strict rules. You will obey imperial law at all times. Failure to do so will result in correction. Jordan leaned forward, and if we don't obey, Hall fell, silent. Every alien I turned toward him. No one had ever spoken to the Empire's representatives this way. The envoy's voice was cold. Then you will face the full force of imperial power. Jordan smiled like a man hearing a challenge. Noted. The envoy continued explaining their laws, but most of the humans were already exchanging glances. There was something in the way the envoy spoke, not just pride but insecurity, as if they expected humans to be scared and didn't know what to do when they weren't. When the meeting ended, the human team returned to their shuttle. The scientist leaned close to the captain and whispered, "They think we're going to follow their rules without question." The captain nodded slowly. "Then we'll surprise them." Far above in the Golden Hall, the alien envoys watched the shuttle depart. One turned to the other and murmured, "I think." They don't know what they're dealing with. And somewhere, deep in the station, far from human ears, the Emperor of the Galactic Empire received his first report on the new species called Homo sapiens. His expression was unreadable. But the tension in the room was thick enough to feel. The humans had not shown fear for the Empire. That was the first sign of trouble. The meeting room on the alien station was larger than a football field. Its walls shimmered with gold and silver patterns that shifted slowly like liquid metal. The human delegation stood in the center, surrounded by tall alien guards in black armor. The lead envoy stepped forward, holding a long crystal staff. His voice echoed through the hall. "Humans, welcome to the council chamber. Today, you will learn the laws of the Galactic Empire." The atmosphere was heavy, as if every alien in the room was waiting for the humans to bow or kneel. But the humans didn't. They just stood there, looking curious. Jordan Hale, the comedian, whispered to the military officer beside him, "Feels like we're about to get a lecture from a space principal." The officer fought back a grin. The envoy raised his staff. "Rule 1, he said, his tone slow and serious. "No ship may travel faster than the Emperor's vessel. This preserves order." The humans glanced at each other. The lead scientist asked why. The envoy tilted his head, as if confused by the question. "Because that is the law." Jordan raised his hand. "Okay, but what if someone builds a faster ship by accident? Do they have to?" "What?" "Slow it down on purpose." "What?" Quiet gasp moved through the alien audience. No one had ever questioned a rule like this, not in public. The envoy's expression hardened. Yes, they must slow it down. To do otherwise would be treason. Jordan smirked. "Right, got it. So the Emperor has to win all the space races." "Understood." The envoy ignored the sarcasm and continued. "Rule 2. No species may form alliances without imperial approval." The military officer crossed his arms. "What if two species just want to trade food or tools? We need approval for that too?" "Yes," the envoy said simply. Jordan muttered loud enough for the microphones to pick up. "Wow. So they run the galaxy like a middle school lunchroom. No sharing snacks without permission." The alien guards shifted uncomfortably, their eyes flicking toward the humans. Some of the audience balconies were now filled with whispers. The envoy tapped his staff on the floor. "Rule 3. No species may arm civilian ships. All weapons must be registered with the Imperial fleet." The lead scientist frowned. "Sounds like you don't trust anyone." "It is for safety," the envoy replied. "The galaxy is dangerous." Jordan stepped forward, a grin spreading across his face. "Well, on Earth, the galaxy is also dangerous. But so are bears, bad weather, and running out of coffee. We deal with it." The envoy ignored him again, but a thin muscle in his jaw twitched. "Rule 4. The Emperor's word is final. Disobedience will be met with immediate correction." Jordan tilted his head, Correction? Like detention? Or execution? Just trying to know where the line is. The alien crowd fell into total silence. The envoy's voice dropped low. Execution. Jordan looked at him for a long moment. Then, shrugged. That's a pretty big jump from detention. The lead scientist shot him a warning glance, but it was too late. The alien balconies were now buzzing with quiet conversations. The humans' refusal to act scared or obedient was spreading like a shockwave through the crowd. The envoy continued. With more rules about taxes, territory, mining rights. Each one sounded more controlling than the last. The humans asked questions for each, turning the formal meeting into something that felt almost like a comedy show. By the end, the envoy's voice was tight with frustration. "Do you accept these laws?" he demanded. The captain of the human delegation stepped forward. "We'll take them back to our leaders, but understand this. Humans like to think for themselves. We don't follow rules just because someone says so. We follow rules when they make sense." The envoy's eyes narrowed. "The laws are not to be judged. They're to be obeyed." Jordan smiled. "Good luck with that." As the humans turned to leave, two alien officers exchanged worried glances. One whispered, "They're not afraid." "Of us," the other replied, "then they are dangerous." Far above, in the Emperor's private chamber, a holographic feed of the meeting played on a loop. The Emperor sat motionless, watching the humans' body language, their tone, their refusal to submit. When the feed ended, he spoke softly to his advisor. "Send them a test," the Emperor said. "Let us see if their laughter survives the arena." And with that, the order was given, a challenge that had broken every other species that faced it. But for the humans, it would be just the beginning. The order came the next morning. The humans were summoned back to the Golden Hall. The alien envoy stood waiting, flanked by twice as many guards as before. His voice was cold. "By order of the Emperor, you will face the test of loyalty. 24 hours in the Imperial arena. Survive, and you may remain in our good favor. Fail, and your species will face correction." The alien balconies erupted in murmurs. No species had ever lasted more than 2 hours in the arena. The humans were expected to break quickly, to crawl out begging for mercy. Jordan Hale scratched his head. "So, what's in the arena, lions? Space lions? Laser-shooting crocodiles?" The envoy didn't answer. He simply turned and led them to a huge set of doors. Beyond them, the humans saw an endless stretch of rocky ground under a red sky. Strange shapes moved in the distance. Something screeched, high-pitched and angry. The military officer checked his wrist scanner. Life signs everywhere. Some big, some fast. The lead scientist's voice was calm. "We're being watched. Cameras in every rock." Jordan looked up, waving to the nearest one. "Hey, Galaxy, we'll be here all day. Maybe longer." The gates slammed shut behind them with a deep boom. From high above, alien announcers began speaking in their own language. Their voices amplified across the arena, the sound of thousands of alien spectators cheering filled the air. The first creature appeared within minutes. A 6-legged lizard the size of a bus, with teeth like curved daggers. It hissed and charged. The military officer raised his weapon. But Jordan stepped forward, pulling something from his bag, a bag of jerky from the shuttle. He tore off a piece and tossed it. The lizard stopped, sniffed, then gobbled it up. Jordan grinned. "See? Make friends first, shoot later." The officer muttered, "This is insane." But the lizard stayed, following the humans at a safe distance, no longer hostile. An hour passed. More creatures appeared, insect-like hunters, giant birds, something that looked like a walking boulder. The humans didn't attack. They offered food, water, and in one case, a shiny piece of metal that seemed to fascinate the walking boulder. From the balconies, the alien crowd grew restless. They had come to watch a bloody fight. Instead, the humans were having a picnic. By midday, the humans had built a small camp. They sat on folding chairs, drinking from flasks and roasting alien mushrooms over a fire. The military officer scouted the area, while Jordan told jokes to the camera drones. You know, said looking straight into the lens. This isn't bad. Could use some music, though. Maybe a BBQ grill. In the Imperial control room, the envoy slammed his fist on the table. They're supposed to fight, he shouted at his aides. They are surviving, one aide said nervously. Not like. This, the envoy snapped. This is mockery. By the 15th hour, the humans had named half the creatures. The giant lizard was now Steve. The walking boulder was Gary. The giant bird was Princess Fluffybeak. Steve lay curled near the campfire, guarding it from other predators. The humans lounged comfortably. Night fell over the arena, bringing freezing winds. The humans simply zipped their thermal suits and huddled together, using the body heat of Gary for extra warmth in the balconies. The alien audience was no longer cheering. They were whispering to each other, pointing at the strange new sight, humans turning a death arena into a campsite. At the 23rd hour, the gates opened. The envoy himself entered, striding across the rocky ground. His eyes narrowed. At the sight of humans roasting marshmallow like fungus, "You have passed the test," he said through clenched teeth. Jordan looked up, smiling. Already? We were just getting comfortable. This was meant to show your loyalty, the envoy said. Instead, you have shown something else. Teamwork. Jordan offered. The envoy's glare was cold. Defiance. The humans walked out of the arena. Steve the lizard followed. Guards stepped forward, but the envoy raised a hand. Let them take it. Perhaps it will remind them that the Empire watches. But as the humans boarded their shuttle, the lead scientist whispered to the captain, "No, it will remind us that they don't understand us at all." Far away, in the Emperor's palace, the report came in. The Emperor read it silently. No fear, no begging, no loss of life. Only laughter, improvisation, and victory. He set the report aside. "Send them home," he ordered. For now. But his eyes were sharp and began preparations for something larger. The humans had been back on Earth for less than a week when the invitation came again. This time it wasn't from the envoys. It came directly from the Emperor himself. The message was short, toward the heart of the Empire. Learn our greatness, then decide your place among us. A new delegation was assembled. Same captain, the same scientist, the same military officer, and of course, Jordan Hale. The shuttle lifted off from Earth and jumped to hyperspace. Following a glowing star map provided by the Empire, when they arrived, the sight stole their breath. Before them floated the Imperial capital, a city so massive it wrapped around a small moon. Towers of crystal rose into black space. Ships swarmed like insects around bright docking rings. As they landed, an escort of gold-armored guards met. Them, the humans, were led through shining corridors, past alien merchants and engineers. But Jordan noticed something strange. For all the beauty, much of the tech looked. Old panels flickered. Some guards carried weapons that hummed weakly. Guide, a tall alien with silver eyes, noticed their stares. "The Empire's technology is the most advanced in the galaxy," he said proudly. Jordan whispered to the scientist, "Yeah. If the galaxy stopped inventing stuff 400 years ago?" That night, while the others rested in the lavish guest quarters, the human engineer, Commander Blake, decided to explore. He claimed he was going to study the ventilation system. Yes. But really wanted to see how the place worked. Slipping away from the guards, Blake moved down an unmarked corridor. The lights here were dim, the air colder. He followed the hum of machinery until he entered a massive chamber. It was full of ships, hundreds of them, but not the sleek giants they'd seen in orbit. These were rusted, patched together, some missing entire sections. Crews of alien workers hurried to keep them running with spare parts scavenged from other ships. Blake's eyes widened. These weren't relics in a museum. They were the Imperial fleet. He crept closer, scanning one of the ships with his portable device. The readings were shocking. Power output far below modern human warships. Weapons generations out of date. Shields weak, he muttered under his breath. Oh, so that's why they're scared of us. Before he could leave, 2 alien mechanics noticed him. They froze, then one hurried over. His voice was low and urgent. "You're the human, yes? You saw this?" Blake hesitated. "Yeah." The mechanic's eyes darted around. "Do not tell the envoys. Do not tell anyone. If the Emperor learns, you know, you will vanish." Blake's grip tightened on his scanner. "Why are you telling me this?" The mechanic leaned closer. "Because your kind is not afraid. We remember a time before the Empire. We want it back." Footsteps echoed down the hall. Guards were coming. The mechanic slipped Blake a small data crystal and vanished into the shadows. The next morning, the humans toured the Grand Palace. The Emperor sat on a throne of black stone, his golden robe shimmering. His voice was smooth. "You have seen our glory. Do you now understand your place?" The captain replied carefully. "We've seen many things." Jordan smiled politely. "Nice place. Shame about the wiring." A ripple of murmurs passed through the alien audience. The Emperor's expression didn't change, but his eyes fixed on Jordan for a long, silent moment. After the meeting, the humans returned to their quarters. Blake quietly showed the others the data crystal. Inside were technical records, proof of the fleet's weakness, repair schedules, even notes from alien engineers begging for upgrades that never came. The scientist's voice was tense. "If this is real, the Empire is hollow. They control the galaxy through fear, not strength." The military officer's jaw tightened, and if other species knew, that fear would collapse. Jordan leaned back in his chair, grinning. "So we just found the galaxy's biggest secret. Now, the question is, what do we do with it?" Outside their quarters, hidden microphones sent every word back to the Emperor's private chamber. He listened in silence, his face unreadable. When the recording ended, he spoke softly to his advisor. "They know too much. It is time to remind the humans why the galaxy obeys me." Far below the palace and the shadowed hangars, the first of the Emperor's personal guard ships began to power up. It began with a shadow over the Pacific Ocean. At first, people thought it was a solar eclipse, but then the shadow grew larger than any cloud, larger than any storm, until every news drone captured the same sight: a ship the size of a continent hanging in Earth's orbit. The voice came next, deep, cold, and broadcast on every frequency. "Humans, you have violated Imperial trust. You have seen what you were not meant to see. By command of the Emperor, prepare for punishment." In the control room of Earth's main defense station, alarms screamed. The captain of the human delegation, now back on Earth, was rushed to the top floor. The scientist, the military officer, and Jordan Hale followed close behind. "Big ship," Jordan said, looking at the live feed. "Is that the Emperor's? Or is this just his warm-up act?" The military officer didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the tactical screen. They've activated weapons. Energy spikes everywhere. High above the planet, the Imperial battleship slowly rotated, its weapon ports glowing bright blue. The human defense chief opened a channel. "Imperial vessel, this is Earth defense. Stand down immediately, or ZZZK." The signal was cut. The battleship's weapons began to hum. The scientist's face was pale. "If they fire, the cities on the Pacific coast will be fine." Jordan interrupted, "Because they won't get the chance." Everyone turned to him. Jordan pulled a small transmitter from his pocket, the same kind of device Blake had used in the Imperial hangar. "Remember that mechanic who slipped us the crystal? He also told me a funny thing. These ships have a maintenance override. You send the right code, and they shut themselves down for servicing." The military officer frowned. "Here?" Saying, "You can just turn it off?" Jordan grinned. "Well, either that or it explodes. 50-50. The captain didn't hesitate. "Do it." Jordan tapped the device. Across the room, screens flickered. In orbit, the massive battleship's glowing weapons dimmed, then went dark. The great engines stuttered and stopped. The whole ship began to drift, powerless. On Earth, crowds in the streets stared at the sky As the shadow slowly shrank, in the Imperial ship's bridge, chaos erupted. Officers shouted. Systems refused to respond. One by one, the screens flashed the same message in alien script: service mode engaged. Back in the control room, Jordan. Put the transmitter down. See? Like I said? Maintenance day. The defense chief stared at him. You just disabled an Imperial battleship without firing a shot. Yeah, Jordan said. But it gets better. A few hours later, human shuttles docked with the drifting battleship. Instead of throwing the alien crew into cells, the humans brought them to Earth and served them pizza. The alien commander, a tall, scaled officer named Varrock, bit into his first slice, his eyes going wide. This is good. Jordan grinned. Better than war, right? News of the incident spread across the galaxy, faster than any Imperial broadcast could suppress it. Holas of the disabled battleship went viral. So did pictures of alien officers awkwardly eating pizza with human children in the golden palace of the Imperial capital. The Emperor stood in silence as his advisors shouted over each other. They have humiliated us. One roared, They are turning the galaxy against us. Another cried. The Emperor raised a single hand, and the room went quiet. His voice was calm, but each word was sharp as a blade. Enough. They have taken a battleship. They have fed my officers like pets. This ends now. He stepped down from the throne, his golden robe trailing behind him. Prepare my personal fleet. I will deal with these humans myself. In the quiet after his words, one advisor whispered, but what if they laugh at you too? The Emperor's eyes burned like twin suns. Then they will laugh, for the last time. The Galactic Assembly had never been this crowded. Its delegates from hundreds of alien worlds filled the great silver hall, each seated behind shimmering force shields. Massive screens hung above, ready to broadcast the Emperor's speech across the galaxy. It was supposed to be a display of Imperial power, a reminder that the Empire still ruled. Instead, it became something else entirely. The humans arrived. Late, walking casually down the center aisle as if they owned the place. Jordan Hale led the group, wearing a bright t-shirt with bold Earth letters. Keep calm and try me. The alien delegates whispered to each other. Some looked nervous, others looked excited. High on the central platform, the Emperor rose from his throne. His voice rolled through the hall like thunder. Citizens of the Empire, today, suddenly, a giant hologram of the Emperor's face appeared on the main screen. With a huge cartoon mustache and spinning googly eyes, gasps filled the hall. Then, from somewhere in the balconies, came a sound the assembly had never heard during a speech: laughter. At first it was just a few aliens trying to stifle it. Then more joined in. Soon, the sound spread like a wave. Entire balconies shook with laughter. The Emperor froze, his golden robe shimmering in the bright light of the hologram's ridiculous features. His advisors shouted at the tech crews, too. Shut it down, but the image refused to change. Jordan leaned on the podium, smiling innocently. Sorry, Your Majesty. We were just, testing your image projection system. Works great, by the way. The laughter got louder. A delegation of insectoid traders clapped their claws together in delight. A reptilian envoy slapped. The back of the delegate next to him, struggling to breathe through his laughter, the Emperor's voice dropped to a dangerous growl. Enough. But it wasn't enough. It was only the beginning. In the days after the assembly, recordings of the mustache incident spread to every corner of the galaxy. Aliens who had lived in fear for generations now whispered jokes about the Emperor. Memes appeared on every data network, the Emperor's face on cereal boxes, his voice remixed into silly songs, and his golden robe replaced with bath towels and animated skits. The Empire tried to ban the images. They only spread faster, and everywhere the memes went, humans were there, delivering food, fixing ships, sharing stories. They didn't speak about rebellion directly. They didn't have to. Laughter was already doing the work in a mining colony on the edge of Imperial space. A group of workers gathered around a projection. They watched the mustache clip for the 10th time. laughing so hard they barely noticed the human engineer installing new power generators for them. On a frozen moon, alien smugglers traded not just weapons and supplies, but USB drives full of human comedy shows. Back on Earth, the captain of the human delegation watched the reports come in. "It's spreading faster than we thought," she said. The military officer nodded. "The more they laugh, the less they fear the Emperor." Jordan smirked. "And when fear's gone, all that's left is choice." In the Imperial Palace, the mood was anything but light. The Emperor paced his private chamber, his advisors too afraid to speak. "They are undermining us with jokes," the Emperor said, spitting the word as if it were poison. "The galaxy laughs at me, at the Empire. This cannot stand." One brave advisor stepped forward. "Your Majesty, perhaps. If we allow humans to join the Empire formally, it will calm them, will bring them under control." The Emperor turned slowly, his voice like ice. "No, they will not join. They will kneel." He looked toward the great black star map at the center of the room. "Send my personal guard to Earth. Burn their cities if you must. And this time, make them scream, not laugh." Far from the palace in the human command center, new sensor readings appeared. Massive fleets were on the move. The largest was heading straight for Earth. The captain studied the data. "Looks like the Emperor finally stopped smiling." "Ah!" Jordan's grin widened. "Good. I was getting bored." The Imperial fleet arrived over Earth like a black wall blotting out the stars. Hundreds of warships drifted in perfect formation, their hulls reflecting sunlight in cold silver arcs. From orbit, the planet looked small, fragile, and alone. The lead ship, Admiral Varen, stood at the viewing window. His orders were clear: break the humans, make them an example. But something about this mission felt wrong. For months, reports of the laughing humans had spread like wildfire. Varen had seen the memes himself. He had even smirked once, though he'd never admit it. "Prepare weapons," he ordered. In Earth's skies, defense satellites shifted position. Ground bases activated missile batteries. Civilian comms went silent. Entire cities held their breath. The Emperor's voice came over the fleet-wide channel. "End this farce. Show them what fear feels like." Admiral Varen gave the command. Fire. Nothing happened. The gunnery officers tried again. Still nothing. The great cannons capable of vaporizing moons were silent. On every ship, control panels flickered. Lights dimmed. Engines powered down. Even life support systems paused for a terrifying second before restarting at minimal power. Varen's eyes widened. "Status, sir. We've lost all targeting. Weapons are locked out. Navigation is frozen. We can't move." And then, the sound came. It started faint, like static, over the comms. But it grew louder, a low chuckle, rising into a full, unstoppable laugh. Act. Every ship heard it at the same time. Every soldier felt it in their bones. On the bridge screens, a single human appeared. Jordan Hale. Leaning back in a chair with a mug of coffee. "Hey there," he said casually. "Welcome to Earth. Try not to trip over your own ships while you're here." Varen clenched his jaw. "What have you done?" "Just a little." "Remote maintenance," Jordan replied. "Turns out your ships run on a network. And your network? Well, let's just say, your password security is tragic." The Emperor's voice boomed over the comms. "You dare." Jordan held up a finger. Adults are talking." Across the fleet, alien crew members shifted nervously. Some even smiled. On Earth, the streets erupted into cheers as the news spread. The invincible Imperial fleet was frozen in place, powerless. Children danced. In parks, old veterans raised glasses to the sky. Varen stared at the human on the screen. "You can't hold us forever." Jordan shrugged. "We don't need to. You'll go home on your own," the Emperor growled. Leaned forward, his smile fading. "And we'll freeze them too." "I see, Your Majesty. The problem isn't our weapons. It's our minds. You can't scare us into obedience. You can't outthink us either." Silence hung over the fleet. Varen's second officer whispered, "Sir, some ships are requesting permission to." Leave, the Emperor's voice roared in fury, but it didn't matter. Without weapons, without engines, the fleet was a parade of stranded giants. And worse, the galaxy was watching. On alien worlds far from Earth, people saw the images, the mighty Imperial warships drifting. Helplessly above a laughing planet, the myth of Imperial invincibility cracked like glass. Hours later, Jordan sent the final message. "We're going to unlock your ships now. You can leave. But if you ever come back like this," he smiled again, "we'll make you dance." Next time, one by one, the Imperial ships turned away. No shots fired, no cities burned. The invasion that was meant to crush humanity ended in quiet retreat. From his throne, the Emperor stared at the reports. His hands trembled, not with rage, but with something he hadn't felt in centuries. Doubt. The Emperor's throne room was silent. The great banners of the Empire hung heavy in the air, but their colors seemed dull, lifeless. Around him, his advisors waited for orders, but none came. In the week since the failed invasion of Earth, the galaxy had changed. The images had spread faster than any imperial decree could stop. The laughing human, the frozen warships, the retreat without a single shot. Entire star systems whispered the same phrase: "If they can defy the Empire, so can we." One of the Emperor's oldest generals stepped forward. "Your Majesty, rebellions are breaking out in 12 sectors. Own governors are ignoring your commands." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. And the humans? "They haven't fired a single weapon," the general said. "They only talk. They send messages to worlds under your control, messages about freedom, about laughing in the face of fear. On Earth, those messages came from many voices now: engineers, farmers, soldiers, even children. The humans broadcast in every language they could learn. Sometimes serious, sometimes joking, but always clear. The Empire is not unbeatable." The Emperor rose from his throne. "They think words can break me. They think laughter can topple an empire." But even as he spoke, another report came in. A fleet from the Valoran Confederacy, once the Empire's most loyal vassal, had refused an order to attack a rebel colony. They had sent a message to the Emperor himself. Just 2 words. "We remember in the human capital." The mood was different. Leaders watched the galaxy shift like a storm. President Miller stood before the United Earth Council. "They will come again," she said, "but next time we won't be alone." On a large screen behind her, the faces of alien leaders appeared. The insectoid matriarch of the Kar, the crystalline speaker of Zen, the cybernetic prime of the Tolan. Worlds that had never stood together were now united. Around Earth, a young human officer named Ria Torres sat in the communications hub, patching connections between rebel fleets. She had grown up hearing stories of the Empire's power. Now she was hearing something new in every alien voice. Hope, in deep space, Admiral Varen's ship floated at the edge of Imperial territory. He had been recalled to face the Emperor's wrath, but he had not returned. Instead, his crew listened to human broadcasts every night. Some laughed, cried. Some simply stared at the stars, thinking of a different future. The first real battle didn't happen on Earth. It happened in the Dalthar system, where Imperial ships fired on a mining station that had declared independence. But before the station could be destroyed, a fleet arrived, not human, but a mix of Kar, Zen, and even rogue Imperial ships. They fought together, and for the first time in centuries. The Empire lost a battle it could not hide. News reached the Emperor within hours. His hands clenched on the armrest of his throne. "How? How did they do this?" An advisor answered quietly. "They shared tactics, Your Majesty. They trusted each other, like the humans do." The Emperor's voice trembled with fury. "Find their leader. End this." But there was no single leader. That was the problem. The humans had taught the galaxy something dangerous: how to fight without a chain of command the Empire could cut. How to keep going, even if one world fell. How to laugh at fear. Weeks turned to months. Star systems broke away like stones falling from a crumbling wall. The Imperial fleet stretched thin, chasing uprisings it could no longer control. And then, one quiet night, the Emperor stood alone in his throne room. Outside, the banner still hung, but in his heart, he knew. The galaxy was no longer his. Far away, on a hill above New York City, Jordan Hale sat with Rhea Torres. Watching alien ships pass overhead, not in invasion, but in alliance, Rhea smiled. "Think the Emperor's still mad at you?" Jordan chuckled. "Probably, but maybe he's starting to get the joke." Above them, the stars seemed brighter than ever. The Empire had ruled through fear, humanity had answered with laughter, and the galaxy had chosen which it preferred.